What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the 2021 Halloween special. Not only are you back in the special, this is the final episode. This is, in fact, episode 12 of the 2021 Halloween special. We made it! This is the finale. This is the final episode. Man, went by a lot faster than I thought it would. I don't know, but honestly, guys, I've just had so much fun talking about horror films with you guys this month. Even though, as far as like consistency goes, this month has been like the best month for my channel ever in regards to how consistent I've been with uploading videos. I don't think I've ever uploaded more videos than a single month. However, in regards to like viewer response and just views in general, reception and everything, I'm not gonna lie, like the special is doing terrible, but like I don't care because I just love expressing my thoughts on movies that I love, and that's what I've been doing all month, and that's what we're going to be continuing to do in this episode, and honestly, that's all that really matters to me. I don't care if I'm still doing YouTube 10 years from now and I still haven't made a dime from it. I would not care. So episode 10, I talked about Alien. Episode 11, I talked about Scream. And then now, in this episode, we are going to be talking about Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Which, The Shining isn't really a movie that a lot of people know about. It's not a very well-known film. Stanley Kubrick, he's not a very well-known director. People don't really know who Stanley Kubrick is. Nobody really talks about The Shining. It's not a very popular film among the film community. I guarantee most directors out there haven't even heard of The Shining, but I decided that I still wanted to talk about it in this episode. All jokes aside, I actually decided to talk about The Shining because I wanted the final episode of this year's Halloween special. Like, Alien is a classic, Scream is a classic, but I wanted the final episode to be like the classic horror film that so many people label as their favorite horror film, and that so many critics put at the top of best horror movies of all time, despite the fact that at the time of its release, this movie was kind of very divisive. In fact, there were some people that were just outright mauling it. It was even nominated for a Razzie Award for Shelley Duvall's performance, which is just, what? Like, that makes no sense to me, because Shelley Duvall, if anything, deserved an Oscar nomination for this film. So if you don't know, The Shining tells the story of the Torrance family, who is going out to be the caretakers of this hotel in the middle of nowhere during the winter. The father of this family, Jack, played by Jack Nicholson, is a writer, and that's all I'm really going to say. There's mental decline, there's great performances, there's possibly supernatural forces, and there's a lot of scenes that, even at age 16, are kind of traumatizing. Okay, look, it's obvious that The Shining is a legendary film, and for me to talk about all the behind-the-scenes stuff and, Stanley Kubrick and all that stuff is, like, there's no point to it, and yeah, there's no point to it, so I'm not going to. I'm going to give you my personal thoughts on the film, which, if you watched my episode on Alien, you know that I really, really did not like Alien for a very long time. There was a long period of time where I actually would classify Alien as a bad movie. But if you watch my video on Alien, like I just said, you know that I've come to really adore that film. I had a similar experience with The Shining. Not quite the same, in fact, it's pretty far from the same, but just in regards to generalizing the situation, it was kind of similar, where first time I watched The Shining, I didn't hate it. Like, I didn't, and I never hated Alien, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, first time I watched The Shining, it was kind of like the first time I watched Alien, where I appreciated a lot of the technical aspects, but when it came to pretty much everything else, characters and story and execution, I just really didn't get it. Like, I didn't get why so many people held the film at such a high regard. However, the first time I watched The Shining, like the first time I actually watched it and finished it, my initial thought was, that was an okay movie, and I guess I kind of get why it's so popular, because it's Stanley Kubrick, but like, what else was there? So my experiences with Alien and The Shining are similar in that regard. And just like with Alien, I have come to truly adore The Shining, especially after doing research about a lot of the film's themes and stuff. Every time I watch it now, I just get so wrapped up in the themes and I just study it so closely and I just get so sucked into the world that this movie sets up. From the opening shot to the last, there is an unbearable sense of dread and eeriness that permeates this movie. And it never falters. Like, even when there's a sweet little dialogue exchange between two family members where that might be kind of cute out of context, when you're watching the movie, you don't feel any sense of wholesomeness coming from it at all, even when there's some sweet moments between characters. It's just so eerie in the way it's shot, and the music especially, that classic theme, bum 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 bum. Such a great theme, and a lot of the reason why this movie feels that way is, because of that incredible music, but the cinematography and the directing and the use of cuts at just the right time and the use of color as well, and color correction and sound. I mean, these are I pretty much just listed all the technical aspects of filmmaking, but it's all done so well to contribute to that tone, which I'm sure is what Stanley Kubrick was going for, because that man was such a perfectionist. Baseline, The Shining is an extremely, extremely simple film. Family goes out to be the caretakers of a hotel for the winter. They're the only ones there. Husband starts to lose his mind. There you go. Horror film. If that were to be made today, it would at most be like a fun thriller, but it wouldn't really be giving you anything much more to think about or anything new or anything like that. The Shining is much different. This movie just has layer upon layer of subtext and interpretation, and the amount of fan speculation and interpretation over the final shot of this film is insane. Now, I obviously have my own interpretations, which I'm not going to get into because it would result in spoiling the film, and just for that one single person out there who has not seen The Shining, I wouldn't want to ruin it for you. Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall are absolute revelations in this film. They are truly spectacular. I genuinely cannot believe that Shelley Duvall was nominated for a Razzie Award. What were the people at the Razzies freaking thinking, man? Did they even watch the movie? I guess if I had to liken The Shining to modern day, I would say that if The Shining were to be made today, it would probably be produced by A24. But that's the thing about The Shining that you can't really say for all of A24's films. You can say it for most of them, but not all of them. And that is that it works as a simple horror film about a family going to a hotel in the middle of the winter all alone. Husband is being haunted by the supernatural presence in the hotel, goes crazy, tries to kill his family. Just as a simple premise, the film works as a simple horror film in that way for the people who only want that out of it. But it also works as an extremely psychedelic film with really visceral imagery that just gets into your head and makes you think about all the implications and themes and metaphorical imagery and all of that, which really sets the film at a very philosophical pedestal. Do I think that The Shining is one of the best horror films of all time? Absolutely. It's definitely up there because you guys know me. You guys know that I constantly interpret things, sometimes overthink things, but with The Shining, it kind of begs you, like it's kind of egging you on to go into that realm of overthinking where you're picking apart every last frame. Some of the things you're saying may sound pretentious, like some of your interpretations, but it seems like a film that just wants you to dig as deep as you can, to go as deep as you can go, which is essentially bottomless with a movie like this. As someone who analyzes and dissects films constantly, this film is like my dream meal. I can eat this movie up any day, anytime. There is so much to pick apart, so many complex themes, and a lot of astounding filmmaking. The tracking shot of Danny as he rides around the hotel, that panning shot that pans with him around the hallway when he sees the twins, the iconic visuals like the blood coming out of the elevator or Jack just staring out the window at his family, and just so many iconic lines. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. I'm gonna bash them right the in. Or, red rum, red rum. This movie can actually be pretty depressing, though, when you look at it and how it's really, at its core, about the breakdown of a family. Like, man, like, there are some really heavy themes to contemplate there. And, yes, the film has its supernatural trappings, and then there's ghosts and things like that, but that stuff is few and far between, and there seems to be more of a focus on the horrors of a family falling apart. And I think that right there is why this film just penetrates. It just gets into your mind. It's astounding to me that this film can be classified as a horror film, a slasher film, a psychological horror film, a psychological thriller, and also a drama, like, all at the same time. Like, that's insane. And those are my favorite types of movies. The movies that aren't just of one or two genres. The movies that don't really belong in any one genre. They just feel like their own unique story that an artist wanted to tell, and that artist wrote it and told it. Now, yes, in this case, this is based on the book by Stephen King, which is hardly anything like the movie. Stephen King famously hated this adaptation of The Shining, but he has, it's kind of grown on him in the last few years, from what I understand. Stephen King would go on to make his own interpretation of his novel with the Shining miniseries, which is absolute garbage. I have not read the book. I know the book was somewhat based on his personal experiences at a certain hotel. But when it comes to a film like The Shining, even fans of the book love it. And it doesn't even matter to them that it's so different, because anyone who watches this movie cannot deny at least the technical mastery that is on display in every single frame. Now, I haven't really talked about if the film is legitimately terrifying. I wouldn't say this is the scariest film that I've ever seen. I wouldn't even say that it's one of the scariest horror films that I've ever seen. However, I do find the film extremely scary and terrifying just on a subject matter level. And there are many scenes that have me white-knuckling the edges of my suite and my palms starting to sweat, even though I've already seen it 1,000 frickin' times. And that is the sign of a casket? Wow. And that is the sign of a classic, that is the sign of a timeless film, and that is the sign of a masterful filmmaker. And Stanley Kubrick also directed A Clockwork Orange, which I'm reading the book for right now. Thank you very much, Elena, for giving me that book. It means a lot. I'm reading it, and yeah, it's really messed up, and from what I understand, A Clockwork Orange as a movie is just so deranged and messed up, directed by Stanley Kubrick, so I hesitate to say that this is Kubrick's most messed up film, because I haven't seen the movie for A Clockwork Orange yet. I do plan on watching it soon, so I can't really speak more on that. What I can say about The Shining is that, when you really stop to think about it, the film is really messed up. And I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry if you form opinions about me because of this viewpoint, but I am always going to be drawn to movies that don't really care about the audience's interpretations of morality. And they don't really care about the people who will accuse the film of putting toxic ideas into your head. I'm always going to admire movies that don't give a crap about that and just want to tell a story no matter how dark it is. Just get back to me when I finally have watched Seven for the first time. Woo! You know what I'm gonna do, right? You know what I'm thinking? You know what I want to do? Oh, you don't? Alright, well, let me come here. It's not a lot to it. I'll just do it really quick. What's in the box? What's in the box? Oh God, what's in the box? Whew, I'm going insane. Could that have been any more annoying? I apologize. So yeah, guys, The Shining. I'm sorry if you wanted a much deeper analysis of the film, but there's so many other places where you can go to find those interpretations, and if I were to analyze the film, I would have to spoil the whole thing for that one person out there who hasn't seen it. All you guys really need to know is that I do believe that this is one of the best horror films of all time. It is legitimately terrifying. It has amazing work in all technical departments. I don't really have any flaws with the film, to be honest with you, and it's so well paced. I'm going to give Stanley Kubrick's The Shining an A+. Bet you didn't see that coming. Wow, the 2021 Halloween special is over. I guess that means I can start moving on to other videos in November. Perhaps a specific video that I'll be releasing on November the 5th. Or shall I say, remember the 5th of November. Look forward to that video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching the 2021 Halloween special. It really does mean a lot. I'll see you in future videos, and until then, keep writing, keep shooting, and keep editing.